Hey everybody, looks like it is working here. Dr. Heather here. I'm going to turn around to get a little bit better light. I am still at the office getting ready to head home. Had amazing afternoon at the office, but kept getting kind of the similar question actually about if you're on a ketogenic diet or eating low carb, high fat, can too many calories really affect your weight? And when you're looking at recipes, how do you actually count the macros? So I'm going to actually answer the second question first. So if you make a recipe, for instance, say the fat bombs, make the whole recipe, probably used by FitnessPal or some other calculator, and calculate the total ingredients. Don't do any math, don't subtract any fiber, do the total math and say that you make 12 fat bombs out of your recipe, then that will be your math. Maybe make the whole recipe and make them big and only get 6. The same is true for bread or waffles. So take the entire ingredients and then whatever you end up making, just divide it by 12, 6, 3, however many you end up having. So that will give you a super good idea of how much fat, protein, that kind of stuff. As we gear into the holidays, number one, make sure you're super well hydrated. Oftentimes we can't tell if we're hungry if we're dehydrated. And here in the Midwest, our furnaces can dehydrate us pretty quickly. It's really dry in the air right now. So make sure that maybe you're not overeating or confusing hunger with thirst. So water with a pinch of sea salt. The average rule of thumb is ½ an ounce per body pound. So if you weigh 150, 75 to 80 ounces of water, you weigh 200, 100 ounces of water. But if you're taking medications that can be dehydrating, or if you're exercising, or you're drinking a lot of caffeine, or drinking a lot of alcohol, those other things can also help dehydrate us. Make sure you're drinking more water. When it comes to macros and calculating calories, this is where you can get kind of a little crazy, getting all caught up when you're pinning this recipe and trying to calculate that. But my general rule is just keep it simple. Eat a size of protein that is the size of a deck of cards or palm of your hand. Have a couple handfuls of vegetables, have 2 or 3 tablespoons of fat on them, whether it's butter, oil, maybe some pecans. Just add some sort of fat in there, maybe some olives, a half an avocado, and then eat that plate. And then if you're hungry like 45 minutes later, then you probably didn't have enough fat or enough veggies. That's generally what people are lacking. People have a tendency to overeat protein like the whole turkey. And then just make sure, again, when you put the plate down, you're kind of looking what you're eating. Again, if you're hungry within 45 minutes after eating, you probably did not have enough fat. People end up sometimes under eating fat just based on convenience or planning, or they're afraid to eat the nuts or things like that, or maybe just don't like olives or avocados. Third tip, leading into the holidays, make sure you're well hydrated. If you know you are planning to overindulge on Thanksgiving, which is coming up super soon, or maybe your family's celebrating something on the weekend, again, make sure you're hydrated and get a little more cardio in. Get burning that fat off. Get your lymphatic system rolling so it helps keep you where you want to be for the holidays. Again, hydration going into a meal will help your brain tell you if you're hungry or thirsty. Again, make that plate, enjoy that plate. Generally not a need to go back as big as the plates are in America or the serving size you have at your family. So just kind of wait on that and see how you feel. If you're hungry 2 to 3 hours later, then you probably did a good job eating and probably need, again, a little bit more fat. So remember the motto, eat when hungry. Eat fat first, which means have a handful of nuts, seeds, 2 or 3 olives, maybe a scoop of avocado. Maybe you want to eat a tablespoon of butter or a couple pieces of bacon, something like that, and keep it super simple. And I really want to have you guys encourage you to actually share recipes. We had an amazing time last Friday baking lots of different breads, super easy recipes. They're down below. You'll see great pictures of them. Please make those. Show us a picture of your bread. The cinnamon rolls turned out great. I had a lot of people ask about that. I'll make sure Pam posts that recipe. So for frosting, we use something called Swerve. Had a lot of questions about Swerve. Swerve is one of those natural sweeteners that is not supposed to raise your glycemic index. You can get Swerve in a brown sugar form, in a confectionate sugar, so powdered sugar or regular granulated sugar. I think you can also get Truvia in a liquid nectar form. Again, kind of watch that so you don't get carried away with it. But if you're baking something like a bread or making something like frosting for a cinnamon roll that's all keto and you need a little bit extra flavor, don't forget about cinnamon and vanilla. It can add a bunch of a flavor on there, or lemon can add amazing flavor. But just kind of watch the Swerve. Some people tolerate it well, some people don't. Some people get a little bit of gas or bloating. If you're super sugar sensitive or insulin sensitive, it can hypothetically raise your blood sugar. So just be mindful that you don't go crazy with cups of Swerve and things. So hopefully that's some tips and helps answer some of the questions that I've gotten in the last 2 or 3 days. So drink your water, plan your meals, do your math on your recipes before you eat them so you know how many fat bombs you can have. And with that question, I'm closing. How many fat bombs can you have? It depends on what your target fat grams are for the day. Depends on how much fat you've had for the day. So if you had these delectable fat bombs that Laura made or Natalie made, and I ate 5 of them, I probably should have only had 2. I overate fat, which means overate calories, which ultimately means stored fat, right? So just be mindful of how many you eat. Do the math so you know if there's 70 total calories and there are 4 or 5 grams of fat, or if there are 10 grams of fat. So just because they're a fat bomb doesn't mean you can have all that you want. So there's a little bit, few tips for the day, answering some questions I've gotten the last few days. So I really look forward to seeing your holiday meal, your holiday menu, what you've got brewing, what you've got cooking, and have an amazing week. And please feel free to check in with us. And I'm looking forward to seeing your holiday favorites. Have a great day.